All right, those are proceedings that we continue to follow there at the Madlanga Commission, where fresh evidence continues to emerge there in the form of the retired EMPD chief Revo Spies there, who continues to give evidence and talks of everything that has happened during his tenure there at EMPD. Now, today's session, as you've seen there, has also drawn particular attention as the retired Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department Chief Revo Spies has taken the stand to share his account of events there, which also this testimony, as you've heard there, forms part of a growing body of evidence painting a troubling picture of just how political interference or the alleged political interference may have affected policing decisions as well as investigations and even internal appointments within law enforcement structures. I'm told now colleague Ayanda Nyathi is on standby to chat to us this hour. So Ayanda, we hear the retired EMPD chief Revo Spies continues to give evidence there and talks of also a poorly written MOU.
Absolutely, Mkolisi. We've been listening to how that might tie into the unlawfulness of the alleged involvement of these private security personnel. Part of what Revo Spies is trying to do, I suppose, is construct some kind of case about how the documents that were meant to legitimize their involvement in the operations of the EMPD look tampered with. And I think, the chairperson is not taking it at face value because he's challenged him on several grounds insofar as his own statements and the supposed formats that were used in the filing of that statement. But we'll get to that in just a moment. Kenny Mapanga, of course, is with us once again, listening in to that, Kenny. We just very quickly are still hearing from Revo Spies, who is painting the picture of the kind of interference he feels took place at the EMPD and the lengths to which people went to try and legitimize the CAD VIP protection personnel, for example.
Well, now we're seeing the importance of the suspended police chief articulating the differences between the SABC and the Metro Police and the kind of powers that he enjoys, because we're now seeing through the evidence of Spaces that there was a complete disregard for that boundary and there was a complete intrusion on the SABC's powers and mandates by these private units together with the Tom's Hawks, we're hearing allegedly, and the EMPD. It's quite interesting to hear the Tom's Hawks name come up again, because we know that was mentioned during the Lieutenant General Khumalo's intelligence vault, as I like to call it, of investigations, and he stated that the Tom's officials allegedly work with these criminal syndicates. So it is now becoming quite interesting to hear that even in the lower level of Ekurhuleni Metro Police, that the Tom's officials were allegedly roping them in to operations which they had no business or legal business trying to conduct in the first place, because we know that the scope and the mandate and the powers of Metro Police is quite limited with reference to SABs who have national powers. And of course, private security themselves, while they can in some instances be informants, their powers are also quite limited as well, because that is the authority of the South African Police Services. So we're seeing him spell out these, alleged illegal operations that were taking place. And that's what he says in his earlier testimony, is that when you don't have this strict following of the legislative mandates, then of course you're dishing out blue lights under the guise of formalized agreements, then what that breeds, or what could possibly breed from that, is further criminality. Right. And that's what he's trying to explain through his testimony right now.
Yeah, in fact, we heard that some of these personnel were even involved in things like the state of the city address, which raised a number of questions. Let's take you back to that moment. Listen to Revo Spies in his own words.
And on the Tuesday morning, Commissioner Mazolo came back from leave, and I then addressed it directly with him to say, can you please assist me in getting answers in this matter? And then he said to me, but I must contact directly Brigadier Makwanasi because he was on leave and he doesn't know what took place. On the Thursday evening at the council meeting itself, Brigadier Makwanasi was at the council meeting. I approached him then at the council meeting itself, where I informed him, but we have this media queries. I've sent it to you. I haven't received any answers yet. Can I please have an answer about it? He then explained to me that, but we have a formal relationship with this company, CAD VIP, where they actually assist us at all scenes, and not only us, They assist DPCI, TOMS, which is the tactical operation side of the DPCI. They assist us with information, and they respond to scenes and all things like that. I said to him, but it's impossible. I don't know anything about this. I've never heard it. And he then stated that he will send me WhatsApps of previous successes, which will then prove that CAT VIP was involved at these incidents and crime scenes and everything. So during the council meeting when we were sitting at, he started to send me WhatsApps relating to these incidents where CAT VIP is listed then as a role player in crime scenes. And later that evening, he also then concluded that, but they were even involved in a State of the City address, which is an annual event by the cities where the mayor would produce or present the State of the City address. And in the 2022 March State of the City address, which was done by Alderman Tanya Campbell, he alleged that even in the operational plan, it's there, that CAT VIP is part of this. And I said, that doesn't sound right to me, but send me proof of that.
All right, so there you have it. The former EMPD official, Revo Spies, still speaking about some of the operations that were allegedly taking place from these Hawks officials and the CAT VIP personnel. And Kenny, part of what he mentioned there is how even on some crime scenes, these individuals or these units would be doing work presenting themselves as EMPD officials, even though the EMPD itself wasn't there.
That's exactly what's being illustrated, is that they purported to state that the EMPD was running the show, but it became very clear from that list that he was reading out that EMPD was nowhere near that particular scene. So essentially what you have is these private units allegedly conducting crime combating operations within jurisdictions that belong to SABC and the Metro Police, and they seemingly allegedly doing so with the Hawks Toms officials, which raises more questions about this particular unit of priority crime and why it was working with these particular private companies that we are now hearing are embroiled in these allegations of criminality, not only with respect to these criminal syndicates and their alleged illicit operations, but now we're hearing they're embroiled in allegations of murder as well, various murder cases that we've seen. And now in the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department, you have this particular unit being, I guess, formalized as part of the structure. And what you're seeing is a pattern being painted here where the EMPD, or at least under the alleged parallel structure of Mkwanazi, is clearly outsourcing the responsibilities, powers and legislative mandates of Ekurhuleni Metro Police to these private security companies. And it raises questions as to why. Yeah. I mean, to what end, as to what were they supposed to achieve with this particular agreement? And again, that's why he's highlighting this, I guess, this risk that can come with such unlawful conduct, because what it can do is it creates an environment for this kind of illegality, rather, to thrive. So that is the gist of what he's trying to paint out through these various documents that we're seeing, that he says we're trying to formalize the agreement, but clearly he's alleging that there's some form of uttering that took place in these MOUs, because it doesn't show what the original document would have shown at the time, but sought to, I guess, formalize the agreements between these private companies and EMPD, because it's clear what he's alleging is that they were conducting a bunch of operations within the region, and sometimes he states beyond the jurisdiction of the region, and that conduct is unlawful, he alleges.
Yeah. In fact, he went as far as to say that some of these private security personnel were rogue as they went about conducting those operations. Let's take you back to that moment. Take a listen.
Units involved were Hawks Toms Tactical Operations Management Solution, STF Special Task Force, CAT VIP Security, Bad Boys Security, K9 Law Enforcement. You see that at the bottom of page 15.
Correct, Commissioner.
Is it a correct interpretation on my part to say all those units were involved in dealing with that Swiss port robbery, resulting in the arrest of 11 suspects, finding 3 firearms, and all that is listed there? So CAT Security was part of that operation.
That is what.
Is that how you two understood it?
That's how I understood it, and it's sometimes it's even strange to me is that all these units are involved, and it's sent to me from Brigadier Mkwanazi as if it is Ekurhuleni Metro Police that is running the show, but we are not even listed there. So it's to me it feels as if he just took stuff wherever the word CAT VIP came on and sent it on to me to say, but look here, we are working with them. But we are not even listed on that scene, even though it's in our area on that.
By we, I take it, it's reference to EMPD.
Ekurhuleni, sorry, Commissioners, it's force of habit. If I'm speaking about it, it's Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department.
And Commissioner, the first one is not even in your area. I understand the other three are within Ekurhuleni, but chasing a suspected hitman in Mufulwa, Soweto, on page 14, the very first entry. What does that have to do with the EMPD?
Commissioner, that is one of the rogueness that hopefully I will touch on later, is that in terms of the South African Police Services Act, Section 64, we as Metro Police is established and we have a specific mandate, which is traffic enforcement, bylaw enforcement and crime prevention. That's the main mandate. But we are further also restricted to our area of jurisdiction to the local government that has appointed us, except there's a clause that also allows us, if there's collaboration agreements or there's agreements with other cities, that we can extend upon request to those areas. But a large portion of what these groups did is that they were actually operating rogue. They would hear a rumor here or information here, and they will go and do law enforcement, arrest people in Hammanskraal. They will go to KZN. They will go to Free State. They will actually arrest, and it will all be good successes according to them because there's arrest in that. But they acted completely out of scope. They do criminal investigations, which is the sole capability of the South African Police Service. They have no powers to do criminal investigations at all, but they were doing it.
So former EMPD official Revo Spies is expected back on the witness stand in about 3 minutes or so. Kenny Mapanga, thank you very much indeed. We'll certainly be watching those developments for you as they continue to unfold.